topic number 2 says, is this positive criticism or insult? This came with a link that takes us to the gram. Let me see if I could get this thing. Let me see. I saw Forecast do it earlier this week. Let me see if I could do it. I could start it from the beginning. All right. Let's check it out. And
American.
We'll discuss it. Oh, I guess there's no sound, so let's just watch it. I'll play it a couple times. So let me see. It's
Chinese
guy trying to get across a chasm, throws down a board, walks
American.
over, gets to the American, hops over to get
African.
The African prays. That's basically what this demonstrating. The African prays while everyone did the work to get themselves across to the goal. Prays, and then when he goes to do anything, of course he falls into the
American.
So that's the
African.
Gist of it. Cheryl in the chat says it's painful to watch, but is true in many ways. So that's
by the way, we can't hear the audio. So you can turn off the audio for a second.
Oh, there is
Chinese.
Audio?
Yeah. It's
very loud.
Yeah,
very loud.
Oh, okay. My bad. I didn't realize it was audio because I can't hear it. I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, I told. Yeah, all right.
Yeah. So thanks for letting me know. I don't know what's going on. Why I can't hear it. With that said, you guys was able to pick up on what's going on then. I guess he left. I was going to start off with the brother who came on, but I guess he left. Let me start with Jose. Jose, what say you to this? Is this positive criticism or insult?
I'm afraid it's 99% reality. I'm sorry. I say 99% because I've seen very Christian Nigerians in Senegal doing very well as businessmen. So they pray and do the work, but. Too close people too close are like this. People too close in my vicinity. Is that the word? They operate like this. They even invited me when I had an infection on my feet. They invited me to come to the church and pray it away, and I was like, nah, you must be kidding. So yeah. I can be short about it. It's I'm afraid it's there's a lot of reality in it, and that's it.
Appreciate that. Kofi the critic, what say you? Or did Kofi drop off? I guess he dropped off too. Let's go to Azuli. Azuli, what say you?
I'm gonna say that it could be. I think it's an insult in a way that okay, it could be an insult. To me, it's an insult because I don't think they. No, you know what? Forget it. It's not an insult because Black people don't really tap into the African spirituality. But I think this guy is talking about praying to God or to Jesus or whatever. And if that's what he's saying, if I'm going on to the Christianity and to the Islam, yeah, this is we only relying on faith. But is that because are they saying faith alone can't get you where you going? So, but what they're saying is that Chinese people, American people, don't believe in spirituality. They say it's fake. Then, so are we being are they saying that we're being programmed for failure? So, I mean, it could be both, but the insult that could be positive criticism. Insult is that if our spirituality does work, maybe it's trying to get you away from that, saying it doesn't do nothing. So again, and then again, this is for this to be like an Asian person. and that man looks like an Asian man. So what are they saying? So they're saying that all of that thing we go into Africa, taking all your natural resources off the top with no thing. You go into the mosque, you go into church, and you go into your African spot, and then nothing is happening for y'all. So I mean, I don't know, man. I can see both sides, but right now it looks like it's a criticism that we guys are just insane. Keep praying and we're praying, but it's the same result. We always have to not benefiting from our prayers, if that's what it says. That's all I gotta say.
I'll tell y'all, I've had personal encounters with black folks, in this case Caribbean black folks, who will like, for example, I was tutoring a woman a couple years ago, an older woman too, and I asked her, did you study on what we did last time? And she kind of gave a half-assed was, no, you really didn't do it. And the exam was coming up. And she said, well, I'm going to pray on it. I'm going to pray on it. And my God will get me through. I said, you better go study that shit. Like, it's some wild stuff. Like, you will find black folks who wholeheartedly, wholesale, will leave it up to prayer. And then the other side of it that I hate is you'll see some black folks who study their ass off, make themselves sick in pursuit of studying this thing, all right, to ace an exam or what have you. And then they'll come back after they pass it, they'll thank God for it. And it's like, but I saw you up 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning by yourself studying. I saw you, hardly eating, right? But they'll come and they'll give someone else that credit. So I do believe there's some truth to it. Is it 100% true? I don't think so, because there's black folks who damn well know how to get their plank and walk across the abyss. But I do think a lot of us tend to leave it up to some higher power that we perceive to be there. So I think that's something that we have to address. That was Azuli. Let me hear from Anthony. Anthony, what say you?
Hey, I'm sorry, Coco. I had stepped off and went to the kitchen for a minute to do something, and I kind of missed the video, but I heard the brothers talking about it. Could you just give me a real quick update about what it was about?
Yeah, in fact, what I'll do, so I kind of figured out the sound issue. I'll play it again.
Chinese, American, African,
I think I got it.
Right, did all that praying and then still fell off the cliff. So
yeah, I got it.
Or is it an insult?
I want to say this. Okay, I ain't gonna say it's an insult. I'm gonna take this position right here, because I think it's basically saying about, okay, no, you like you pray. Remember, okay, I'll put it this way. Remember what that song? I can't remember what song that Bob Marley is saying. Was it Get Up, Stand Up? Well, he was saying how black people, how we as African people are looking for heaven.
Get up, stand up. Yeah, get up, stand up. Yeah,
we looking for heaven. We looking for our paradise in heaven in the afterlife. You know what I'm saying? When he's saying, but it's right here on earth, and you got to go out and make it. Okay, I mean, excuse me. And then if I could quote a Bible, if I could use something out of the Bible, because since the majority of African people in America are Christians, I say this here: when we go to church and we hear the pastor saying some of those stuff that Jesus said, we don't really understand what he's saying, because Jesus said what? The kingdom of heaven is within you. You know what I'm saying? It's within you. So while we spooked out, like forecast say, worried about afterlife and how we gonna be in the afterlife. We gonna make it to heaven if we gonna be on the good list. That stuff. You know what I'm saying? We should be there. You should realize that your heaven could be on earth. Everything that you need, you got in your own mind, man. It's within you. The power was in you. We got the power in us. You know what I'm saying? But we spooked out on the religious thing. I mean, the religion thing played, and religion is different than spirituality. You know what I'm saying? But the religion thing played a trick on us. And I just think that, like, it's like the kingdom is within, all the power is within us. You know what I'm saying? And the Chinese and everybody else, they don't realize that, man, we ain't want that on that old mess right there. We know that this is us, man. We ain't waiting on nobody in the sky to come and do this for us. You know what I'm saying? We're going to go and do it our damn self. And that's where we missed the boat. I just leave it at that right there.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Anthony, in the chat, the matron said, first of all, every other group came to the challenge with a tool needed to succeed.
Yes.
So something material, right? A tool needed to succeed. James in the chat asked how I joined the panel. Only gave him the answer. Yeah, click the link. You'll see some links pinned there. Click the link that says panel. It says StreamYard in the link. Just click that, and I'll let you on. Cheryl said Chinese have spiritual practices too, but then they get up and kick ass. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. Well said, Cheryl. Should we start with number 2? Is this positive criticism or an insult? Let's hear from Buana.
No, I understand the prompt. I understand the prompt to say that black people pray. You know, Marcus Garvey says sometimes black people pray too much. So I understand the prompt. However, I don't like the context of the prompt because it seemed in this video like the people in this video was able to conquer or master nature. And I'm asking the question, who has mastered nature more than an African? Just consider the African man was in sub-Saharan Africa. Our ancestors, our immediate ancestors in sub-Saharan Africa. What's in sub-Saharan Africa? The most dangerous animals, predatory animals known to man. The only reason we wasn't able to end up in some animal's stomach was because we had the ability to reason better than animals, which was much stronger, which was more faster than us, all these other things. So we was able to use reason in these areas. We was given religion, make no mistake about it, especially European style religion, which take us away from things. But we was able to master nature. You know, we was the first to able to reason and think and defeat our immediate predators. We would have ended up in a lion or some stomach or some animal along or coyote or whatever is in sub-Saharan Africa. So to suggest that being reasonable or we don't reason through nature, that's just a misnomer because we've been doing it for hundreds of years. And we've been doing it with African spirituality. There are Africans that still live among nature right now, don't end up in the stomach of a lion or don't end up as in the stomach of a boa constrictor or poisonous venomous snakes that exist in sub-Saharan Africa. They've been able to live among these predatory animals. So obviously it takes a high degree of reason to escape the stomach of these predatory animals. You know what I mean? So to suggest that we lack reason, I think that's very unfair. That's very unfair. Are we spiritual? Absolutely. But that don't necessarily mean we get rid of our reason. I think what happened though is with the introduction of European religions, I think that our religion became perverted, very perverted. You know, because now you wait like this man did, you know, you're at the edge of a mountain and you're praying Hail Mary, that Mary will rescue you off of the edge of a cliff, which is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Another thing too in this analogy is to suggest that you know my American people are not religious minded. Come on, bro. Everyone knows that American people are religious minded. You know, in America they have something called the Bible Belt. What's more religious than the Bible Belt? That's the many states reeled together and they believe in what this guy been doing at the edge of a mountain. So how you could just put it on the African mind? Americans religious too. You can't beat us over the head and say, well, we just religious and we unreasoned people. You know, when the reality is that we've been in existing in the deepest part of Africa with the most predatory animals on the face of the planet, and we still survive. That takes good reasoning ability, very good reasoning ability. Not to mention the engineering capacity that we've been producing all throughout Africa. But you won't pin this on us? Come on, man. You don't do that. You don't pin this on us, man. No, I think that it's an insult, personally. I understand what the message is, but we are not all that. Because I wouldn't pray to no Mary or John or Jesus or Yeshua to solve my problems. I solve my problems with sound reasoning. So you can't put me to that. So, but I'll stop there because I drinking and I ranting. But I'll stop there.
Yeah, Bonnie, you made it about you, but I think it's more about the collective. So Buana is from the same place I'm from, and a lot of practice and policies are dictated by what's called the Christian Council. Now, does that mean that every individual person follows all these things that the Christian Council them, push into the government? No. But as far as the government is concerned, they kind of follow hand in hand with that stuff. So I think when you bring it down to the individuals, of course, it's absurd. Not all of us would be this way, but I think largely a lot of our people, especially older Black folks, are super into their religion, man. They will call on God if they cross the street safely. Like that's the kind of thing we have going on in Black society too. So that's something to consider.
Coco, I understand. I understand what you're saying, and that your truth is right. Caribbean people are very religious, but don't make it don't give the message out there that we are very practical as well, extremely practical. Because yes, we believe in Jesus and Jesus whatever, open the windows of heaven and all that nonsense. But the reason why your grandma used to get an ASU is because at the end of the day, she knows if she consistent with that ASU, she could get a hand, was going to improve her life materially. So she was consistent with that. So we I feel like we live a balance. We live in the spiritual nonsense and we live in the practical world as well. So I think that's the balance that we carry. That's the balance that we carry. But like you say, you right. The state have a function, and their function is, we are part of the Church of England. I don't believe in that nonsense. I'm not an Anglican, but I understand what you mean, though. I understand what you mean.
Yeah. I'm just, it's not in contradiction or anything. I'm just pointing out, like, in masses. I mean, like right now, when this war broke out, when this thing broke out in Palestine, there's African leaders who talking about Israel's God, and basically siding with one group over the other because they allegedly share the same God or some shit. So it's a thing that we have to be mindful of. But with that said, let's hear from Oni. What say you?
Oh yeah. So I mean, look, obviously, like Azuli was saying, I guess, everything in media is kind of deliberate, So this was, this skit was deliberately, supposed to be offensive to Americans and Africans, And I don't know if you all remember. I know the Caribbeans had this when they used to tell jokes. They would always, they would name three different islands. They did three different islands, and then the last island was, I don't know, maybe the smart one or something like that. Their island. They might be like, hey, look, the Trinidadian, then this guy, then finally the Jamaican. That's what they would do in Jamaica, at least, right? But yeah, this was obviously supposed to be insulting to Americans because they're just doing extreme shit, and and they wear the trophy on their butt, and the African, just doesn't even make it across. And I don't think they're. I mean, obviously, I don't think they're trying to say that Black folk never had technology, right? But but today, in this day and age, Black folk definitely too damn religious. Okay, they pray too damn much. In fact, you could meet a woman, right? I know you guys are gonna say whatever, but you could meet a woman and she'll be like, I know you met me. I know you were right for me because I prayed to God early, that type of shit. And you're like, what? But that's like a thing. So if I would like, so I'm guessing from the Chinese perspective, because these Chinese are doing big shit. Okay, I don't know if you guys know, but they're living in like they're living in what we thought was the future. Okay. And unfortunately, people in Africa are living in what we think of as the past. Like some of the stuff you see, like when you go to Africa, you like, oh yeah, I remember that from 20 years ago. You know what I mean? I remember that from 30 years ago. So it's just like, but a part of it does come back to there's this hyper religiosity to the point where like it's like obviously, here on this panel, you might find people who aren't really religious, but generally speaking, Black folk are praying for success. They're praying for good stuff. They're praying for, how to get, where from point A to point B. And if you look at, like I'm telling you guys got to look at China. Like look at the videos coming out of China. Look at their, firecracker celebration. Look at whatever, when you look at what the Chinese are up to. Yeah. I mean, obviously they're making fun of us, but they're also saying, look, we're doing, like, we're carrying the mantle, and I think that we can carry the mantle if we get, if we try to, if we get to it, but a part of the barrier to that mantle is this hyper religiosity. And I just want to say, because what Trigger was saying, you got to differentiate spirituality and religion. The religions have no scientific value. Okay, the religions have no scientific value, and I agree with Buana. Americans are very religious. Some people say the Chinese have a lot of Christians too. But this prayer in place of work mentality is widespread in Africa. It's widespread in Africa. And I mean, obviously you see it in America too, among Black Americans, but in Africa, I'm telling you, it's widespread. That's all I think I want to say.
Appreciate that, Oni. Cheryl in the chat said this video shows the effectiveness of Christian missionaries. They made African people so passive that they won't even bring a tool to assist them in their goal. I think someone in the chat mentioned that. She goes on to say, yes, the Chinese have a lot of tech advances, but the ecosystem is suffering as a result. We as Africans should be so desperate to be at the table of tech, that we lose our connection to nature. Taloa says, I think maybe it is more helpful to identify white validation syndromes, which religiosity is one form of. Let's welcome in the brother Bakari this week. Bakari, how are you this week? Bakari did a show earlier about African spirituality too, by the way, so make sure you guys check it out. Bakari, are you there? Because I can't hear you. All right, maybe.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I was listening because I didn't watch the panel because I'm in my vehicle, right? And I had to step out and I come back and I hear Bawana talking. And I heard when Bawana spoke and he said, don't do us like that. One thing I can agree, I think the Christian thing and not doing work, I think, and it also can go back to the other one they were talking about propaganda things they show on TV. We like to show that about our people and we like to talk about it and we act as if all our people that have some type of religion, that's all they do. And then we act as if we are the only ones who's religious and do that. You can look up, if you ever just get the chance, you can look up here. This happened in the Atlanta area a few months ago, where the Korean Christian Church, I'm gonna say that again, the Korean Christian Church, they invited some people, a few members, invited to go to and they did a sacrifice. They sacrificed one. They got together and sacrificed them for God. You can look through Russia, you can look all around the world. We might have our laws, but just put that on black people and saying black people just worship God like no one else. And we can say Christianity of that what we want. For black people
Bakari,
here who's not just
Bakari, you're cutting in and out.
Yeah. Oh man, I don't know what to do then. Is this any better?
It's better for now.
Because I'm in my vehicle.
Yeah. So go ahead now. It's good now. Go ahead.
So what I was saying is like, because if you look, there's a lot of successful black people in every arena, whether they're religious or not. And some are religious and they'll still get up and do the work. Like when you look at the Yellow Banana, that's 32 grocery stores owned by 3 black people. I don't check their religion. They might be Christian. I don't know. You can go through black designers that has been successful. So when we say all we do is pray, you can find black truck drivers. Look at yourself. Do you consider yourself successful? It's not just the money all the time that's successful. But when we just want to lump all of us in a group and say, see, this is what black people do and other people don't. Look at other people. And I told Commissie Fox this, and this is what I'm going to do. The next time I'm on the side of town where I do a lot of work in, I do a lot of work in an area where there's a lot of Asians. If you go by per capita, because it's way more black people here in the Atlanta area than Asians, they have as many churches per capita, if not more, from corner to corner, as black people. But we think because we see it all the time, because we're around our people all the time, we think we are the only ones doing it. No, we are not the only ones doing it. And there's a lot of successful black people, like I said, in every arena. So let's not just say, oh, we're the ones that pray and don't do no work. That is not true. We have been put in a position. We can't ignore the position and the situation that we have been put in. Is there a lot of people that just pray? Yes. But there's a lot of people that do other things. So we can't just put ourselves and say, see, this is what the black religious people do. That's not necessarily so. And that's all I wanted to say. I yield the mic.
I appreciate that, Bakari. Again, make sure y'all check out Bakari's episode earlier. He was talking to, I guess I could say this, his spiritual leader or spiritual advisor, who deals in African spirituality. So you guys should make sure to check it out. I like something that Cheryl is saying here. She said, I don't think we're trying to put down black Christians. There are lots of Southern blacks that have very successful businesses. That's not what's in question. What's in question is building a black nation. A lot of folks, I can't say if it's most or all or what. Well, it can't be all, but a lot of folks don't really care about nationhood as opposed to having, like an African or black nation. A lot of people really want to get into a Christian nation if they could, or Muslim nation, right? A nation of Islam, if you will, right? So there is that. So yeah, like Bakari said, it's not everybody, we know that. But there's a lot of us, I think, and me personally, I think probably too many of us who are kind of stuck on that religion thing. Anthony, you want to add something?
Oh no, I was just agreeing with what you said. I was agreeing with it.
Okay, I appreciate that. Anyone else want to add a thought here, a last thought here?
Again, that's the propaganda thing we're talking about. That character, man, looks like an Asian man. First, they show you the Asian people are successful and doing all of that. Then the American people. But where I bet you this is gonna have an effect on the Africans. To me, this is related to how the China is heavy in Africa right now. So that man looks like I don't know who created this little cartoon. I'll be surprised. That would be one of the most important things. Who created this? So again, it shows you China, whatever. But in reality, if African people are the cradle of civilization, that shit is false again. But that's the thing of propaganda, because when you look at TV, we got the TDJs, we got all the churches, all the mega churches. They show you all of these things that black people, especially, I don't know if this cartoon is referring to African American or is it just to Africans. At the end of the day, we got to see who created this little cartoon thing. And by the looks of it, this man looks like an Asian man. So that should tell you a lot about them people about they are now in Africa doing a lot of big things for China. So that's what I'm gonna say.
All right. In the chat, Cheryl says, and again, thanks, Cheryl, for being here. I'm assuming Cheryl is a she. Correct me if I'm wrong. Cheryl says, I'm from Philly, and I find many black Christians don't care whom their children marry, meaning Asian, white, or anything but black. You can't build black if you don't marry black. That's a good point, too. That religion thing allows us. That religion thing has us allowing a lot of stuff into our communities, too, right? She says Christianity teaches you that we all the same, we all human, and that's something that black people struggle with, and why we can't maintain black wealth. I also feel that's why we don't fight these folks too. You know, we use religion to turn the other cheek all the goddamn time, and this is why we don't really push back the way we should push back. Let's go to shoot the breeze topic number 3 for time's sake.